Hi, this is Steve and welcome to Zero to a Million. What I wanted to do in today's video is walk you through an introduction to point and figure charting. As I mentioned earlier in a previous video, point and figure charting is what helped me get grounded in technical analysis because it helped answer some of the questions. Are we in an uptrend? Are we in a downtrend? What price should I buy at? What price should I sell at? How do I determine my target price? So point and figure charts are one method that gives you unambiguous numbers, unambiguous answers to those questions. And that's one of the benefits of this particular method. I have now come to rely on it less of a crutch and more of one of the tools in my arsenal, but it is one of the techniques that really help me get grounded in technical analysis. So with that said, what I'd like to do is introduce you to a website, and that site is called stockcharts.com. So if you go ahead and bookmark that, it's a great site to come back and revisit because they create point and figure charts for you. So if you don't have stock software that will do it, here is a website that will do it for you. But before we look at some point and figure charts, and there's about 3 stocks that I want to look at today, I want to introduce you to the method. So as a way of learning for yourself outside of this video, you can go down to P&F charts, point and figure charts, and from here we can navigate to understanding. And this is really their way of teaching you point and figure charts. I just want to walk you through that so that we can get grounded. Point and figure charts are not necessarily time-based like some of the other charts that we might look at. And what point and figure charts do is they consist of cells. You can think of it as an Excel spreadsheet where you have rows and columns, and each cell is referred to as a box, and each row has a price associated with that row. So we can look here and we can see that anything coming across on this particular row would be associated with the price $15, let's say. Now the way that you would put either an X or an O in a particular column is because you have reached or exceeded that price in whichever direction you're moving towards. So let's say that we're moving up, then I would have to hit or exceed 16, for example, for me to put a value in the cell associated with row 16. If I'm dropping in price, let's say for here, and I was to hit to 10, I would have to get to 10 or lower before I could fill in this box. Being at 10.75, for example, I don't get to do anything here. And because there are some values that you don't do anything with, one of the nice things about the point and figure method is it filters out some of the noise, some of the things that you really don't care about, and it just captures major price movement, and that's one of the advantages. So point and figure charts are constructed with X's and O's. X's represent increasing prices and O's represent decreasing prices. And we use that to determine basically supply and demand. If prices are rising, that means that you have more buyers than there are sellers. And if prices are dropping, you have more sellers than there are buyers. And that's one of the fundamental tenets of technical analysis and overall on the stock market in general. And the point and figure method really helps highlight who's in control, sellers or buyers. So let's walk through an example. Here's an example where we're plotting some prices. O's mean declining prices. So we started at about $15 and we've dropped all the way down to $11. So we plot O's in each one of those cells. Now, if we did something at $11 or maybe even $12 or $10.75, we might not do anything. There are rules that come into play for when we would put an O in the same column, or if we're going to switch and put an X, we'd have to switch to the next column and start building a column of X's. We can't really build a column of X's and overwrite our column of O's, so we have to move over to the next column. So in this case, let's say that the price has dropped to $10, so we would now add another O showing decreasing price, so that column just drops one more. And then let's say that the price reversed and it went back up to 15. So now we would switch over to column of X's, and we would start to build that and show X's all the way back up to 15. When you switch a column, the rule, a good rule of thumb is you have to be able to plot at least either 3 X's if you're going in the up direction, or 3 O's if you're going in the down direction. And an example of that is here if the price was to drop back down to 12. If the price had dropped to 14 or 13, we wouldn't do anything. So basically, again, it has the effect of filtering out some noise. Now, one of the nice things about point and figure charts, after you've built a completed chart, it might look something like this, is that it does give buy signals and sell signals. Anytime you have a column of X's that precedes that is higher than the preceding column of X's, that would be a buy signal. So in this case, we would be on a buy signal at $16. Anytime a column of O's is lower than the preceding column of O's, that's a sell signal. So in this case, we would have gotten a sell signal at $13 a share. Point and figure charts also give you a way of looking at support levels, resistance levels, and trend lines. You can see here we have higher peaks in our columns of X's, and our columns of O's, the lows are actually higher. So this is indicative of an uptrend from here to here. And then over here, you can start to see our X's aren't as high as they were before. And in fact, our lows started to drop. That's indicative of a downtrend. Here, where these 3 O's line up horizontally, that would represent a support level. So we might have a little bit of a hard time going below that level. Here, where we have these highs, that would represent resistance, meaning we might have a hard time breaking above that level. And that, in a nutshell, is how you use point and figure charts. So what I wanted to do now is walk you through a couple of point and figure charts. So why don't we take a look here at the stockcharts.com site. And one of the ones I want to look at that we have a lot of discussion in the news on is oil. And we looked at this in an earlier video. And for this, we're going to look at the USO ETF, which tracks oil. You add about $26 to $28 to this price, and you'll get the price of crude. And here you can see we had a column of X's, then it reversed to a column of O's, meaning it dropped in price a little bit. And at least 3 O's came into existence. Then this green is what happened in the last day. In this last day, we just happened to have an up move of oil. It went from wherever we were before, went all the way up to at least 218, and we know that we closed it at 117. So again, looking at this particular stock, we are on a buy signal. And that's how you use this. Now this point and figure charts also would tell us if we bought here, ideally it's going to go up, but where would we exit if we made a mistake? We guessed wrong. Well, here's our column of O's. If we now go into, if we were to create another column of O's and that column of O's dropped to be less than this one, so we dropped to 108, that would be our sell signal. So we get a clear buy signal, we get a clear sell signal. And the last thing I mentioned is point and figure charts can help us determine what price targets we might be looking at. Well, on this particular chart in this software, they compute it for you. So they tell us that our bullish price objective is 129. We're at 117 right now, so we could make about $12 on the upside. So again, it helps you figure out how much to get in at, where to exit at, and what target you might reach, which allows you to compute your risk-reward ratio, which is a key element to deciding what instrument you might want to be in the first place. So that's what I wanted to share today about point and figure charts. I know it's a quick introduction, so please go out to stockcharts.com, look at the material they have out there, just key in some instruments on their site, look at the charts yourself, and start to get comfortable with it. And we'll continue to look at point and figure charts in addition to some of the other charts we'll be using in upcoming videos. Until next time, happy trading, be well, bye-bye.